I love when people are like, GaryVee, you're boring. You say the same shit. And I jump right in, I'm like, what do you want me to make up shit? You got your perspective. I just want to be happy. Don't you want to be happy?
Talk about the content building, because you talk so much about having that real content behind you versus just something that's perceived, like the Instagram.
Well, look, I think content needs to be real to you. Like, for me, entrepreneurial content comes very easy. I've been selling things since I was 6, like this is all I've ever been. Like, I don't make content around education. You know, so I think where you're going, and I want to make it contextual for the audience, is like, you need to make content that is your biggest truth. The reason I can come here and be like, I don't want you to read me, like backstage, I'm like, I don't need to know the questions, like, or I improv talk, or when I do, like, because I only talk about my truth. Like, the reason my content works is because it's my truth. It's the same reason my wine content worked a decade ago. The reason my wine stuff exploded was because I actually tasted wine and actually told you actually what I thought about it without factoring in how it would impact my business. That was a huge game changer for me. The day I started Wine Library TV, I thought of it at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I sent somebody to Best Buy to buy a camera, and 4 hours later it was on the internet. That's how I roll, right? When I told that kid to go to Best Buy to buy a camera because I was gonna record a wine video, I completely, in my mind, at that second, thought I was about to start QVC. I just want, you know, I need you to hear this. I thought that I would put out a video every day and I would sell wine in video form. I had no idea how it'd be on video. That video, if you go look at episode 1 of Wine Library TV, is the first time I ever did something in front of a camera in my life. Like, I didn't know what would happen, but I knew what my intent was, which was QVC. And then 3 hours later, after we got it set up and figured out and when I filmed it, the second the light went out, this is probably stunningly one of the most important moments of my professional career that I also don't think a whole lot about. That light went on, and I remember, and it's amazing how your brain works, right? The light goes on, and I remember thinking, all of this, like as I'm like saying, welcome to the first episode, you know how you can do things, but another part of your brain is doing something else? My other part of my brain's saying, what if you go to a cocktail party, and somebody puts a glass of wine in front of you, and you taste, and they go, what do you think? And you say something different than what you said on a video. And literally, that's what went through my mind. And within the first 6 minutes, while I'm setting up what I'm even doing there, I switched my thesis from being QVC to I'm just gonna review wine and whatever the hell happens, happens, because I don't wanna make myself vulnerable to the Dateline, aha, we caught you.
Right.
And it changed everything. The reason that show exploded is because there was nobody on earth that I was scared of. Not an employee, not my dad, not my best friend Brandon. When I would pan a wine and we had 80 cases of it downstairs and the whole company would freak, there was no confusion that I was doing authenticity. And I think that's why my content will always work. It's why I'm willing to say things, like I said earlier, that I'm not gonna pander to the current state of what's accepted. If I just shoot my truth 24/7, and I believe that for you too, everybody thinks and overthinks their content because you're trying to figure out what will work versus realizing your individual truth of the moment is what will work. The reason my sister, who now has decided to not be a stay-at-home mom and get into real estate, the reason she's getting some traction on Instagram, she's just talking about failures because she's failing. She hasn't sold shit. But that doesn't come natural. That doesn't seem like the thing you're trying to do. How do you instill confidence to get somebody to list your home with them if you're saying you suck? Because that works better than faking it.
Yeah. She's honest. She's honest about it.
Everybody here can put out a ton of content. Nobody is, because everybody's overthinking it because they're pandering to what works and likes, or will it get shared, or who cares about me. It's all insecurities and defense. If you literally made a video every day on Instagram for 1 minute that you just recapped what happened that day in a minute on a selfie video, you would do well. That's why reality TV does well. That's why social does well. People want truths. Your biggest strength is that you're an individual human. Everybody's just full of shit. Do you know how many people's self-esteem is completely wrapped up into how many likes they get on a post on Instagram? That's some dangerous shit. So that's what they're looking for. Because they're right, you'll get more likes. You know? And look, I mean, I think it's super fast. I mean, people that overshare their families over-index all the time. We like that shit. We like the babies and the dating and the divorce. Look at our behaviors of what we consume. And that's great. And for people that are comfortable with that and that's their truth, I'm pumped. Like if my kids decide to go that route, I'm not gonna judge them and be like, no, this, do you, but do you. Mm-hmm. Like never waver from that, because the second you start wavering, it doesn't feel good. You're just gonna wake up and be like, why did I do that? You know? Yeah. So I would stick to what it is.
I want my work to speak.
I love when people are like, GaryVee, like I read my comments. The qualitative feedback is incredible, right? I love when people are like, GaryVee, you're boring, you say the same shit. And I jump right in, I'm like, what do you want me to make up shit? This is what I believe in. I'm like, how about you go do something with that information? That's what I really want you to do. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of confusion right now because it's all new. Makes sense. There's always confusion when things are new. But I'm very passionate on being really good. When I'm 98 and I'm consuming my content as a retrospective, I want to be right about everything. That is literally my ROI. That is what I care about. I want to be historically correct. Like it's super important to me. Like, why not? That feels a lot better.
Gary, do you think that an entrepreneur can build two businesses at the same time?
I do. I really do. If that entrepreneur understands that she or he needs to be building two businesses at one time to be happy. I like it better when that entrepreneur understands that they're gonna put 80% of their energy into one and 20 in the other, and that the 80 is gonna work like most people's 120, which allows her or him to play with the 20. Got it? So that's my belief.
And another question.
Please.
Do you think that, because I had this conversation with someone today that I respect highly, and she said that the two businesses would be mediocre.
Yeah.
If you're working the two businesses.
Here's what I would say. I believe.
I agree with you about the 80-20.
Here's why. The fact that you even asked the question, it's what you need for yourself. The end. Right? Like there's some great there's a great Russian saying that translates to you can't put your butt on two toilets, right? And then there's a great American saying that says if you have two businesses, you have no businesses, right? So I get it, but that's for somebody who's more of an operating, more structured entrepreneur. Then you have people like me that if I'm not creating more businesses, my main business won't flourish because I'll die just running one business. If I'm not doing the wine direct-to-consumer business, if I'm, now Vaynerchuk has been a real mitzvah for me. Now I'm like, oh, I can just birth up businesses all the time and use the disguise of like, well, it's a Vaynerchuk business, and it's been great. I mean, like I see Zach, like Vayner Speakers is so, like the fact that I have a speaking bureau. So like I think when you become self-aware, I realized that I needed those things. And then I realized as I got more mature, oh, wait a minute, I can build a structure that allows me to actually get strength from this versus it being a weakness. But everybody gives advice that is predicated on themselves, which is why I think I'm always so cautious to do that, which is why, God, I love self-awareness. If you give me somebody who's self-aware and has self-esteem, they're set in perpetuity, which is what I think about when I interact with my executives or anybody I care about, those two things. But yet, I mean, it's been done. Like to me, if it's done once, game over, right? Jack Dorsey's the CEO of Square and Twitter. These are two public companies. They've both done well. Like if you really look at it, and like, you can do it. I mean, I do it. It just depends. You're gonna sacrifice. By the way, you wanna run two companies, what you're giving up is leisure. But when people get mad at me for that, I'm like, but you don't understand. I don't want to go skiing. I don't wanna binge watch the R. Kelly thing. I don't. I want to run businesses. It's the most fun for me. It's what I've always done. You're talking to somebody who in the summer as an 8-year-old washed cars, mowed lawns, shoveled snow. Like my default as a 9-year-old was it snows, let's go work. Not let's build a snowman or go sledding. This is my leisure. So don't judge me. People are over-judging in the other way. Self-awareness. I know you need to do too. You asked the question.
I brought you a little present.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Can I just bring it up to you?
You sure can.
It's a vintage Macho Man shirt.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I will rock it. Ah, God, I love this guy so much. It's Macho Man Randy Savage is actually the one, he passed away. He had a heart attack while he was driving and died maybe 4 or 5, 6 years ago. And I'm really bothered about it. Like literally, he's the one person I wish I met. I loved wrestling when I was a kid.
You could go meet Ric Flair, he's still.
I literally think if you really break down why I'm such an over-the-top speaker, it is 100% predicated on wrestling promo videos and Eddie Murphy's Raw. Like literally, like when I watch it, I'm like, oh, if I ever said this and now I'm doing it out loud, nobody would watch those talks the same way because it's very clearly influenced by that.